My name is Luther Arkwright. I'm a game developer at Sega Enterprises working with Sonic.exe, and I am recording this as a record of my confession and for a record of past events. If you have found this tape, you were probably not meant to, and chances are, if you have, I am already dead. Now, there's no easy way to begin, except for when we met. Me and Sarah, we had known each other for years before she went missing. She was a bit rough around the edges and tended to be a bit blunt, but she was my friend. She was laid back, confident, brutally honest. But I don't think I've had a better friend in those times. Even if she was a little mean with her jokes, I honestly struggled to tell if she was being serious. We met Michael and Martin a few years later, and we all consistently hang out. We were pretty closely knit together. Martin liked to play games and practical jokes on the rest of us. Michael was more into music. Martin and Sarah didn't get along all that well. Martin liked to tease her for certain aspects. And Michael, she was okay with, thankfully. Sarah moved away after the first year of high school, though, so I didn't see her for years. We kept in touch, but calls were pretty expensive, at least for me and my family, so I'd get an update maybe every few months or so. A few years passed, and we reunited in college. Me, Martin, and Michael had been attending for a couple years now before Sarah arrived, and even managed to get into the same university. We had also made a new mutual friend in that time, Lily. She was a nice woman, very great at keeping Michael and Martin out of trouble, and as upfront as she never seemed threatening, at least not to me. Lily wasn't there when Sarah arrived, so we all had a little reunion for the original friend group. It was nice. It was something I was hoping for. We didn't expect it to be so soon. Me and Sarah, we got together at some point, met up, talked about how our lives had gone in the past couple years, people we met, what we were planning for college, any new hobbies we had developed. At some point, the topic of dating had come up, and for one reason or another, we gave it a shot. It wasn't bad. A few days later, Sarah admitted to me privately, though, that she was more into girls. I said that was alright, and I knew someone that she might be interested in. And that's when I introduced her to Lily. She and Lily hit it off pretty well. I honestly could have seen them going on for years. Then the incident happened. November 29th, 1963. I had just turned 21 that year, so we all decided to go to a house party, mostly to see what it was like, but also for the free booze. It started off well at night, but after that I can't really remember. My memory is foggy, whether it was the booze or just because I'm still trying to forget it, but I still remember the worst parts of that night. Lily had stepped out, a few hours into the party for some fresh air, and it had been a couple minutes. I was curious to see what was up, and I was going to go check on her. That's when I heard yelling behind me. Michael had gotten into a fight with someone else at the party. This normally isn't an infrequent issue, but it was starting to get louder and it was starting to get really aggressive. As I was making my way over, Sarah stepped up to them to try and break up the fight, and Michael told her to shove it. They ended up getting into their own argument. One thing led to another, and Michael shoved her. All I remember after that was the loud sound when she hit her head on the counter. One moment she was just standing there, the next she was on the ground. I, I, I panicked. The blood was starting to pool around her head. None of us knew what to do. I was about to call the police. I dialed 911, but I was stopped because well, they threatened us. Turns out a lot of the people at the party were either underage or doing some kind of substance. If I called the emergency services, it could have landed a lot of us in prison. Hell, just for being there, I could have gotten expelled. Same with Michael and Martin. We didn't have a choice. We had to cover it up. We didn't know how, but we couldn't let Lily see either, so we picked up Sarah's body and we went through the back of the house. We went into the woods. We tried coming up with something. We couldn't figure out what to do. Martin buckled under the pressure and ran away. I think he went straight home. Michael didn't stay for much longer. He brought up that there was a stream up ahead, and as we were walking up the bridge, he made up some excuse to leave. He said it was curfew or something, and left me to do the deed on my own. I looked at the body of my friend for the last time before dropping her into the stream below. I could have sworn she looked at me while she was falling. None of us even checked for a pulse. We weren't even sure, but I was the only one who actually went back to the party. Lily was trying to find her, and I had to cover for Martin and Michael, saying that they were out looking for her too. The following day, the posters we hung up on the telephone poles in the strip malls haunted me for weeks. When it was finally assumed that she was dead, we buried an empty coffin. As I got older, I remember seeing Lily in the church cemetery to leave a flower over Sarah's grave. Despite keeping in touch, a lot of us couldn't bring ourselves to talk to one another for a while. After college, I managed to get myself a job working on a newly developing franchise, Sonic the Hedgehog. While I was working there, I met up with Lily again and decided to say hello. I was outside of work, ran into her in front of a coffee shop. We had a nice time catching up. It turns out Lily had always wanted a kid and would have asked Sarah if she was interested at some point. After Sarah died, Lily had adopted a little boy named Kyle in her memory. He was a good kid, always the exploratory type. I can say that with a confidence. I don't know if it was our shared baggage or something sparked after we got back in touch, but we ended up getting married, and we had a kid of our own, Thomas. love these kids. I love Lily. Things were looking up at my new job as well. No one can truly run from their past. I was tasked with helping to develop a Sonic the Hedgehog games collection for the Sega Saturn called Sonic Jam. I was given a prototype to playtest and work on to make sure everything was running smoothly, take notes, report back, etc. I don't know how this is even possible, but I think Sarah has possessed the game. She's been sending me tapes, threatening me. It's like she's come back for me. She came back for all of us. I sent the prototype to Michael, who was my partner on the project, and then I got the first tape. And then in the second, I found out he was dead. And then Arden, and then Kyle. You killed Kyle. You killed my son. Your son. He was innocent in all of this. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm the one you're mad at. I killed my best friend and hid it. I didn't say anything. You can come after me all you want. You can hurt me in any way you please. Just leave my family out of this. Leave my family alone!